the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got weed pots!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stoned Appetit. We have a new kind of concept we're going to try to run with for a couple weeks, see if it works, avoid monotony and things of that nature. So I want to address y'all before we get this episode started. Going forward, we're going to have a little bit of a segment where we start each episode where Chris and I will talk a little bit about the things that we did the week before, things that are going on the week of, tell you about concerts. Like for those that are listening now, everyone should know that this weekend at the Fillmore, it's obviously Valentine's Day, but if you have no plans or need to save face with a significant other, you can grab tickets to Eli Young's country band up at the Fillmore. Go to livenation.com. If you're following them on Instagram or on Facebook, it's at Fillmore Den at LiveNationCO. Also go follow us at Stoned Up Appetit. And I think there's an underscore in there. I can't really remember. But we give away tickets as well on a regular basis. But what we're going to start doing is we'll let y'all know everything that's going on. So, Chris, this will be kind of brief. Chris will be joining me next week for these short segments that we do at the beginning of the episode. But he's not with me this week because he is at the doctor's office. Chris took a gnarly spill on the hill, obviously, with those 2 feet of snow that dumped in the mountains this past weekend. Chris went up there to catch a nice little catch some, I guess, runs, and then by the end of the day on Saturday, he had broken his fucking arm. So we'll go into detail about that. We'll let him recap all of that for you next week. Because of his injuries, we're throwing out an old episode. This one, we are sitting down with Chef Jeff Osaka. He talks a little bit about the campaign that's going on. I guess we'll call it a campaign. They're doing an event at the Expo Center down in Rhino. March 12th or March 7th or something like that. I think it's March 12th at 7. It's called Chefs of the West. So you can find tickets at the Kidney Foundation's website. That's kidney.org. Go over there. You can check that out. You can grab tickets. It's 25 different restaurants and local, I guess, liquor companies, things of that nature, that are getting together to raise funds for kidney disease. So go to their website, buy tickets to the event, and then come and get drunk, get full, party in Rhino. It's on I think it's a Thursday, but I'm not very good with math. Usually I'll have these things in front of me, but we're just doing this one improv. Since Chris is not here, I figured I'd recap and let y'all know that's where he is. But without further ado, I guess we should get this party started. Also, Valentine's Day is this weekend, so restaurants I would recommend if you don't have dates already, you're pretty fucked. But you may be able to get in at you could probably get in at Courier, where I did a fucking modeling shoot with them the other day. They needed a spare model. It was not paid gig. They let me take bites of food, which was dank as shit. So I can vouch that the food was delicious when I was there. Courier over there on 17th and Welton, they may be able to help you out, get you in. But you're probably cutting pretty goddamn close if you're listening to this podcast and still looking for things to do. So I'll recommend the Eli Young Band over at the Fillmore. But usually this will be a little bit more detailed. We'll give you a rundown of what we did the weekend before, foods we've eaten, concerts we saw, things that we did, and then going forward for the week that is ahead, we'll tell you what's on the docket for the weekend, things of that nature, restaurants we're trying to hit, openings, closings, things of that nature. Anyway, all right, so Zane, let's go ahead, hit that music. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see y'all for another episode. Here's Chef Jeff Osaka of 12th at Madison, Party-Rama, and Osaka Ramen.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit. With your host, as always, it's me, Kip. To my right, I got Bama. How are you, Bama?
Oh, I'm doing great. Weathering this cold.
Yeah, we are weathering this cold, but we're actually pretty nice. We're bunkered up here in Rhino. We're hanging out with Chef Jeff Osaka from, I'm just going to call you the Restauranteur of Denver, because you have a quite an array of restaurants here in town. We're going to dive into all those, but thank you again,
Sure.
Jeff, for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you say that. You're going to be really pissed off that you're stuck with us in here for a couple minutes. But we got you for a little while, so we want to pick your brains. You know, you've obviously been very successful here in Denver, so you know the scene. You have a wide array of restaurants, like I mentioned. But you also are a member of what is called the Great Chefs of the West, which is an event that's going down here in Denver at the beginning of March, on March 12th at the Expo Center. You can get tickets, I don't know, through the link in your bio, but we're going to kind of pick your brain about all things.
Sure.
We like to start every episode the same way. We kind of give Chris the keys to the car for a couple minutes, and I sit back and drink. So, Chris, do the honors for us.
All right. I'd like the crowd to know, first of all, Kip's only drinking water today. So
let the record reflect that Kip is sober. What up, Peyton? How are you, brother? Sorry, again, we're very casual. Don't worry about it. We'll edit shit out.
All right, so here we go. Here's how we start, Jeff. So are you a transplant or a native to Colorado?
I'm a transplant.
Transplant? Where are we coming from?
From Southern California, from L.A.
From L.A.?
Yeah. I've been here since 2008, so going on my 11th year pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What brought you out here from L.A.?
The restaurant business.
Yeah?
Really, yeah. It's a long story, but
guess what? You're not going to believe this, but we're actually here for that story. Don't be shy.
Actually, to cut it short, I lived and worked in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for a short while. This was back in the late '90s.
What was the scene like up there back in the late '90s? Was it a big party town? Ski town, like getting after it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big ski town, but I was there really mainly to work. It's a very expensive town to live in. A lot of celebrity spotting during the 2 years I've been there, and then a lot of regulars that you wouldn't know the wealth behind them. Flannel and torn jeans, but they're big, powerful executives that we served at the couple of restaurants I worked at. So it was a good time. But I went back to California, still kept in touch with a lot of friends from there, and a lot of them migrated down here. And they've been they were telling me for the longest time, you got to come out here, open a restaurant, and it wasn't until 2008 that I managed to make it out here and open my first restaurant here in Denver, 12 Restaurant, just down the street from where we're at right now on 22nd and Larimer.
Wait, what was your first digs?
12 Restaurant.
12 Restaurant was what it was called?
So it's I currently have 12 at Madison, so that's kind of a reincarnation of the old restaurant that was down in the Ballpark neighborhood.
Ah, nice.
Smaller menu, changed the menu once a month or 12 times a year, hence the name 12. And I kind of got my foot in the Denver dining scene. Opened for about 6 years.
Yeah, so like y'all are in our neighborhood, and I first off thought it was 12th and Madison because it was at the cross streets.
Yeah.
But the fact that y'all change the menu every month, it kind of gives you if you go in there, it's not like a repeat every time. It's different hit. You're playing different hits. So I like it.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of that place.
Yeah,
the neighborhood.
It's a great neighborhood, the Congress Park neighborhood where it is now. Very family friendly. You see a lot of people walking on the corner, and you never know it was there because it's kind of tucked away off Colfax, a few blocks.
It's kind of like in the bungalow kind of neighborhoods where it's a lot of foot traffic. So for those that don't know, it's definitely, like you mentioned, it's all right off Colfax, 12th and Madison, right kind of tucked away in Congress Park. It's dynamite. So were you thinking like fine dining? Because it is it's more, I guess, intimate. But were you always thinking that because you've kind of expanded in a wide variety?
Yeah, I mean, that's my background of 30 years of fine dining restaurants in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Las Vegas for a short time.
How was Vegas?
Vegas was pretty crazy.
Does the house always win?
The house always wins.
Okay. I was just checking.
Yeah.
I haven't lived there.
Yeah. Have you seen the size of those hotels lately?
So I was going to ask, how does it feel to live there? Like being a resident of Vegas has to be different than the drunken tomfoolery that goes on at the pool and the casinos.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole working force. I mean, that lives and works in Vegas. Not only at the casinos, but there's regular service like banks and
no shit. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're splitting atoms over here, Jeff Bro.
Yeah.
They've got car washes and shit like that.
So, I mean, at the time, this was, I think, 25 years ago. So the cost of living was pretty great down there, too. And it wasn't as touristy back then. It's more family friendly than it was 25 years ago. So it was a great place to live. It was a short stint to help open a restaurant up there. Then I moved on after 6 months. So
that's righteous.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, we go
Yeah.
on detours all the time.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
get fascinated by different cities. I always want to know more.
I was thinking about backtracking real quick. So, did you grow up? You grew up in LA?
I grew up in LA.
Okay, and then is that like when you finished high school or whatever? Did you start getting into cooking then, like before, like going to Jackson Hole and?
No, cooking wasn't until later. It was until I worked in the grocery business for 10 years. Straight from high school, bagging groceries, working my way up to management. Did that for 10 years. So I didn't actually start cooking till I was about 28.
Okay.
Went to cooking school in Northern California. Cut my chops there at a few restaurants in San Francisco. But yeah, LA's home. But most of my experiences all around the West Coast, Northern, Southern California, Las Vegas, as mentioned, Jackson Hole, and here in Denver. So,
you don't have to say Denver, but which one of those would you say was your favorite to cook in as a city?
Hard to say. I mean,
we'll take Denver out so that you don't have to exclude because you have home base here. We'll say all those cities because it seems like L.A. and San Francisco both vie as pretty big foodie towns, and then Vegas does, like you said. It's top tier tourism, so that's 5-star restaurants.
Well, I think actually Jackson was probably my favorite because it was actually me cooking my menu, my concept. So I think that's where I really, I think, grew up as far as the restaurant industry and my style of cooking really got nailed down back there in Jackson. So
in Jackson, who was the biggest celebrity sighting that you had?
Well, Harrison Ford is probably the most well known. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like right after Air Force One? Like that would. I'm just kidding. We're not trying to date you.
We don't do that on this podcast. We don't age shame because Chris is also old. So it happens. People.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, though.
That's a good.
I'd hang out with Indy.
We're going to use that hashtag in this episode. And by God, I bet you we get at least 5-10 extra likes out of it. So that's a pretty nice name drop. I like it. Nice. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Denver food scene. So you started with 12th, and you started with this one right here.
12 restaurant.
12th restaurant.
Yeah.
And then moved it to Madison.
Yeah.
And then you started kind of building this empire of different restaurants. Which one was second?
The next one was Osaka Ramen, just on the next block from us. That opened in April 2015. And then we quickly opened one in July, Osaka Ramen July in Cherry Creek, which is no longer there. It lasted about a year. Then shortly after that, we opened this here, Sushi Ramen, in December 2015. Then I think 2016 we may have taken a break, and then we opened 2 more Sushi Ramas in 2017.
So are you hitting the burbs with this campaign that we're working on? You giving people Littleton something to vibe on?
Yeah, our next one was Bellevue Station, so right near the tech center, and then Lone Tree after that, and then Fitzsimmons, where Anschutz Medical Center is.
Okay.
So we're kind of covering Central, South.
That's a very Chick-fil-A model you have there.
Yeah.
Near hospitals and folks in the area. I like it. That's great.
So how I don't think there's any other sushi places in Denver that does the kind of like conveyor.
No, we are the only ones. Yeah, currently.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about before the episode, and I'm so proud of me because I did get high before this episode, but I remembered, and I saw on y'all's Instagram. Go follow them at Sushi Rama. Maybe at Denver, I don't know. I'll check on that and get back to you. But they have a stack. You have like stacks of people that can go through plates, dude.
Yeah.
One of these people just polished off like 85 of these puppies. Y'all put it on the internet, and I was in awe.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much people can eat. We have one guy that sends me pictures. A friend of a friend. Every time he goes in with his family of 4, he's probably at 30 or 35 plates. And most of it are himself, so it gets pretty crazy.
Eat like 4, and then he'll just polish off 30.
Yeah.
Well, where did the whole conveyor belt thing?